So hi everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. How's everybody doing today? Feel free to let us know in chat how everybody is doing today.
Hey
And
everyone, good.
yeah, go ahead,
Go for it,
Anurag.
Saad. I'm sorry. I need to don't know when to keep quiet here. Just want to say good morning. How's everyone doing?
Please let us know if you can't hear us or if you can't see the presentation. If there's any issue, please let us know now so we can fix it.
Yeah, looks like we've got a few people in the chats in the webinar here. So guys, if you can
Mm-hmm.
just a quick tech check, if you can hear us okay, you can see us okay. Just feel free to give us a quick like thumbs up or in the chat or something like that. All good, perfect, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Awesome.
All right.
Right.
All right, we'll just wait for a minute or two and then we get started. We'll just see if anybody else is going to join us.
Sounds good. Hey,
Yeah.
Michael, Catherine.
How's everybody's morning been so far?
Do we have any people from the Pacific Coast here? Is it 8 o'clock for anyone? Out in California, BC, anything like that? If not, it's okay. I'm an early morning riser. It doesn't mean everyone has to be. Although is 8 o'clock in the morning really that early? 11 p.m. in Singapore. That's awesome. Am I
Wow.
pronouncing your name right? Is it Hui? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's make sure we pronounce people's names properly. Great. All right.
All right. So shall we get started, Anurag?
All set. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Saad, and I will be leading today's webinar. I also have Anurag with me, who will be helping me co-host this webinar. So I have been with Archon for almost a year and a half now, and I work in the onboarding department. I may have spoken to some of you during my onboarding calls. Yeah, so welcome to the welcome to the webinar once again.
Hey everyone, my name's Anurag. I'm on the sales team here. I've been at Archon for going on about 3 years or so now. Like I said, I'm in sales. So if anyone on here, you might have gotten a phone call from me or some of my colleagues or an email maybe, if the name sounds familiar. So if you're wondering who that person is, that's me. Hi. And if I've been calling you, feel free to call back if you like.
Thank you so much, Anurag. So this is my first webinar, everybody. So if I make any mistake, if I go fast, please excuse me for that. All right. So for today's webinar, we'll be looking at how Xero integration works with inFlow. What are some of the benefits? How to connect it? And we'll go over a few other things. But before we get started, I just want to go over today's topics. So we'll first look at how the integration works. We have a few things that we just want to go over. Then we'll do a short demo. I'll show you how to connect inFlow with Xero and how some of the sales and purchase order get pushed over and what they look like. We'll then do a small troubleshooting section where I just want to show you how the integration errors would look like and how you can kind of like go over and fix those issues. And we do have a Q&A session at the end. If you do have any questions, please feel free to leave them in chat, and we'll try and answer while we're doing our presentation. Otherwise, we'll answer them in our Q&A session. All right. Okay, so let's just get started. First, before we start this presentation, I just want to go over one important thing. So Xero and inFlow integration, it's going to be a one-way integration. By one way, I mean information will be pushed over from inFlow to Xero. Information such as your purchase orders will go to Xero as bills. Sales orders would go as invoices. inFlow would also push your cost of goods sold, payment details, and inventory value. But if you're changing any information on Xero side, that information would not get pushed over to inFlow. So just to keep in mind, it's a one-way integration. Now, like I mentioned earlier, your sales orders, when you create a sales order on inFlow side, it will get pushed over to inFlow as an invoice, and purchase orders will go as your bills. So if you create a sales order, it wouldn't get pushed over to Xero right away. There are certain actions that you would need to take before the sales order will go as an invoice. So for sales orders, if you invoice your order, then your sales order would go to Xero as an invoice. Or if you fully or partially receive the sales order, it would also create an invoice on Xero side. On the purchase order side, inFlow would only push it over to Xero as a bill when it's fully or partially paid, or you have fully or partially received or the purchase order. And again, if you create any returns on your sales and purchase orders, it will create a corresponding in credit invoice or credit bill on Xero side. I hope that's clear. Okay. So inventory values, like one really important thing about this integration is when you enable your purchase order push, which we'll come to in a bit how to do that. inFlow would also push your inventory value to Xero as well. And why inFlow pushes an inventory value is because you are creating sales and purchase orders on inFlow, and that affects your inventory value on Xero. And Xero also has, say, bills and invoices. But there's certain other features on inFlow because it's going to be, once you connect it, inFlow will be your inventory management software. It also has stock adjustment, count sheets, work order, and cost adjustment. And those features don't exist on Xero. You can't do those things on Xero. But those actions do affect your inventory value. And since Xero is your accounting, you want to make sure your inventory value is correct. inFlow would push over your inventory value to Xero. inFlow would be your true source of inventory value, and it will just make adjustment on Xero side to make sure they're both in sync. And when is this inventory value pushed over to Xero? So as soon as you fulfill a purchase order, that's when your inventory value will get pushed over to Xero. When you fulfill a sales order, that's when it's going to affect your inventory value in Xero. It's going to push it there. Daily 2 a.m. your local time. So basically wherever you are in the world, 2 a.m. your local time, your inFlow will automatically push over your inventory value to Xero. And or also you can also manually push your inventory value to Xero. I will show you in the settings page how that can be done as well. Okay, so before we move forward, Anurag, do we have any questions, anything that we need to address before we move forward? All right. Can everybody hear me okay? I just want to check if I'm fine, if I'm not breaking up. Okay, perfect. All right. So yeah, so I was gonna go over how some of the important things that you need to make sure of before connecting inFlow with Xero. So inFlow and Xero, the way it works is Xero requires all your products to have SKUs. So if you are connecting inFlow with Xero, you want to make sure your products have SKUs. If you have any products which don't have SKUs on it and you try and put it on a sales or purchase order, you would get an integration error. So before you connect inFlow with Xero, just make sure to go over all your products and add your SKUs there. You also want to make sure that your home currency on Xero and inFlow are the same. And the taxes that you have on inFlow, they should also be added to Xero. So for example, if you're in the US, then your Xero account probably will be in USD, and you want to make sure that inFlow is also in USD. And if you have some tax rates which are on inFlow, they have to be added on Xero side before you connect both integrations. And we'll see how that works as well. So another important thing is because how Xero works, for any third-party integration, it wants to make sure that all your products on Xero are non-track inventory type items. So if you're already using Xero and if you're using inventory type items, you may want to convert them to non-track inventory on Xero first. And to do that, we recommend that you go through Xero's documentation and see what the process is for that. And once you have converted your items to non-track inventory, and even if you don't, sorry, I just wanted to add this over here as well. So if you're starting over Xero and you don't have your products on Xero already, so as you create your purchase orders and sales orders, inFlow would create products for you on Xero side. Okay, the next step is basically adding a current asset account on Xero. So if you are, when you create non-track inventory items on Xero, inFlow Xero requires those items to be recorded under a current asset type account. So it would all the value of those items will go into current asset type accounts. You will have to do it before you connect inFlow with Xero. And more details about how to do it is in our knowledge base article as well. And lastly, you want to make sure the inventory value of Xero and inFlow match up. So you may want to check your inventory value on inFlow. I will come to that as well. And then make an adjustment on Xero side before you connect both integrations. All right. Anurag, do we have any questions so far?
Not so far. I'm actually just about to put in the link to our knowledge base article in our chat as well for everyone to have a look at. You can save it for reference. So I'm just putting that there, but no questions so far.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anurag. All right. So these are the things you want to make sure before you connect. Now, I just want to go over, I just want to do a short demo and I just want to show you how to connect inFlow with Xero. That's the first thing I want to go over. And I'm also going to go over how your sales orders and purchase order will push over to Xero and what they would look like. And then I will also go over how your cost of goods sold would look and where you can find your inventory value on inFlow and on Xero and how you can compare that. All right, so I'm just gonna go to inFlow first and show you how to do this. So for this demo, I'm gonna be using our web version. So if you're not aware on how to access the web version, you can just go to inflowinventory.com, and from here, from our main screen, you can just click on login, and you will get a screen where it would ask you for username and password. You will use the same username and password if you're using the Windows application, same username and password. And once you're on the home screen, at the top right, you will see your name over here. If you click on this, you will get a list. And from here, you will select integration. And on this screen, you will see all the available applications that inFlow connects with or any third-party integration that we have over here. So I will select Xero over here, and it will open up window. This is where it's going to ask me if I want to connect inFlow with Xero. I will select connect. It's taking a few seconds. Oh, so once you do that, inFlow would send you to Xero's website to ask you to enter username and password. I've already done that. I've signed in. So it's going to skip that screen. Once you enter username and password, it would take you to this screen where it would ask you to authorize inFlow to connect with Xero. And I'm just basically going to say allow access. Once that's done, then you get the integration setup page. So the first page is to basically set up your sales order push. This is where you can tell inFlow to push your sales orders to Xero as invoices. If you want to enable it, this will be like in this position, but if you want to disable it, you can also disable it using this toggle. So over here, we have to link certain Xero accounts with inFlow. So over here, this would be the inFlow information, but in the dropdown, you would see these accounts on Xero side. So the first account is product sales account. This is the account that you're going to use on, this is the account on Xero where you record your sales. I'm just going to select the sales revenue account, which I already have on Xero. And this is a shipping income account. So whenever you create a sales order and you have shipping added to it, it would go to Xero as a line item. But if you want the shipping amount to be recorded in a separate income account, then you can create that account on Xero site first. And once you've done that, it would also appear in this list. So I've already added that account, and I'm just going to select that account over here. And then under payment settings, we have our payment push. So basically what this does is if you enable this setting, whenever you add any payment to your sales orders on inFlow, that payment will get pushed over to Xero's invoices. If you are receiving payments on Xero right now, that payment information wouldn't come to inFlow, and we recommend turning this off. So if you only, this should only be enabled if you're receiving payments on inFlow side. I'm gonna enable it, and under payments account, I'm gonna select the bank account that I use. As I'm just gonna use account receivable account over here. And over here under tax setting, this is where you're going to link your inFlow taxes with the taxes on Xero. Again, in the drop down are going to be the taxes on Xero side. So taxable sales, I'm going to select 0% for 0%. Non-taxable, I'm just going to select tax exempt. Exempt, I'm going to select tax exempt. So I have this one tax rate, Ontario, taxable at 13% added to inFlow. So I just want to make sure that's there on Xero as well before I connect inFlow with Xero. And in the drop down, I've already done that, and the tax rate is there on Xero. So I'm just going to select it from the list over here. And then non-taxable, I'm just going to select this one over here. So once you've mapped all your accounts, your taxes, and your payment account, you're ready to go to the next screen. I'm just going to hit next. And the next screen is for your purchase order and inventory value push. So you can again enable or disable it. If you don't want to push your inventory value or purchase order, you can just disable it. But for this example, I'm just going to keep it enabled. So for these accounts, so the first account type that we have to look or link is your cost of goods sold account. This is going to be your cost of goods sold account, which is going to be where your sales, where your cost of goods sold will be recorded for any sales. I'm just going to select the cost of goods sold account over here. And the inventory asset account is basically where this is the account, the current asset type account that you will have to create on Xero site first, as I mentioned earlier, and you would have to link it over here as well. And this is where your stock items value is going to be stored on Xero side. And then the adjustment account, other cost account, this is a really important account. We have this button over here, create inFlow adjustment account. You want to make sure that you select this option over here. This is the account inFlow would use to push over any cost of goods. This is again, sorry, a cost of goods sold account. This is the account inFlow will use to push any kind of balance out the inventory asset account and also track cost value of inFlow's non-stock items. This is also the account we use to set the product expense account for non-stock service items. So you want to make sure you let inFlow create this account for you. If you select this, it's going to ask you for account code, and you can enter that over here depending on whatever you want it to be. But I already have created this account on Xero site, so I'm just going to select it from this list. But please make sure it's a different account, inFlow adjustment account. And once I've done that, again, payment settings, I can enable this or disable it depending on whatever I prefer. If you are applying payments to your purchase orders on inFlow alone, then you should enable this. But if you're applying payments on your bills on Xero side, then again, you want to make sure that this is disabled because information from Xero would not come to inFlow. So I'm just going to enable it for this example. I'm going to select my bank account and my credit card account over here. And again, as I did in my sales orders setup, I will have to map taxes over here as well. And once I've set up all these accounts, I'm just going to select complete. I will get this notification and it will say that everything is done, everything looks good, and this is when your inFlow would be connected to Xero. All right. Before we move to the next part, Anurag, do we have any questions?
Yes, Saad. So Catherine has a couple of questions. So she's asking. So number one, and Catherine, thanks for getting back to me. So when returning items on a sales order, she's asking, will that generate an error message once the postage is paid? I'm not sure if I'm interpreting the question correctly. And then her second question is, when the freight tax is not the same as the sale tax, will that cause an error? Feel free to let me know if I've misinterpreted the question.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm just trying to read the first question.
Yeah.
So once you do a return on your sales order, I know that it creates a sales credit note, sorry, a credit note, a credit invoice on Xero side. It should do that. But if it's not working like that, then you may want to reach out to support team and they can look into what's causing that error. Again, this is a very this is just an overview of how the integration works on this
Yep.
webinar. If you have any error messages or if something is not working, it should, then please feel to reach out to our support team by over live chat or by writing them an email at support@inflowinventory.com. So sales order return, like I said, it creates a invoice credit note on Xero side. And Catherine, about your next question, I'm still trying to figure out. Maybe we can come back to this in our Q&A session, if that's okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, this is just how inFlow would connect with Xero. Now, I just want to go over how a sales order would push over to Xero as an invoice. And again, I just want to show you how a purchase order would look, how a purchase order would push as a bill to the Xero side. So I am already logged into my Xero account. So this is what my homepage looks like. I'm going to go back to inFlow and I'm just going to go create a sales order now. I'm just going to, at the top left, we have these three lines. I'm going to click on this. This is to open my main menu. Over here, I'm going to select new sales order. And this is where I'm going to select my customer. I'm going to select Active Vision over here. And this is my customer information and everything. Let's add a few products over here. Let's say I'm going to add Archon. I'm going to buy 2 of these, 3 of these. And then I'm going to add Banshee. And I'm going to get 2 of these. And I'm going to add shipping over here as well. So I'm going to add freight charges, which is $50. I'm just going to save this. So now saving this sales order is not going to create an invoice on Xero right away. As I mentioned earlier, you have to invoice the order or you have to apply payment to a sales order for it to go over to Xero side. So if you want to invoice the sales order, you can either add an invoice date or print the invoice from here. You can select print and invoice, and it would invoice the order. I am just gonna, or you can mark it as invoice by clicking on this button and selecting mark invoice. This is exactly what I'm gonna do. So as soon as I selected mark invoice, inFlow would push the order to Xero as an invoice. Let's go to Xero and see how it would look. On Xero, I'm gonna go to business, and over here I'm gonna select invoices. And I believe my order number is 12 on inFlow side.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so this is the invoice which came into Xero. I'm going to select this. So this is what your invoice will look on Xero side. So again, I have these 2 products. It's basically going to show you the SKU numbers. On Xero side, item name is always a SKU number. And description is going to be showing up over here. Quantity, your unit price. And we have a discount here as well. It automatically picks up discount. The discount is showing over here. Your tax rates, your total amounts, your shipping. Like I mentioned, shipping comes as a line item, but we selected a shipping account. So that's the account where shipping income is going. Your total, that shows up over here. Now, if I were to apply a payment to this order on inFlow side, let's say I'm just going to select mark paid. As soon as I do that and I go back to this invoice, oh, I think I selected the wrong account over here. That's why it's not pushing the payment. Sorry, I'm just going to select the right account type for my bank account. So this is how an integration error would look like. I'm just going to quickly fix this. I'm sorry about that, guys.
Oh, it's good to see.
Yeah. I think it's this account.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
inFlow optical, yep.
Yeah, I'm just going to select this. Uh, Yeah. So yeah, this is how you would fix an integration error as well. And we'll come back to that in a couple of minutes as well. All right, I'm just going to refresh this over here on Xero side. and you see like apply the payment of the full payment on inFlow, and this is what the payment would look like over here. So the amount due is 0 now. All right. This is basically how a sales order would look like. Now, I also want to do a purchase order and show you how the bill would look like on Xero side. Again, I'm going to go to main menu. I'm going to select new purchase order from over here, select beta testing from here as my vendor, and let's buy a few products from them. Let's buy this sunglasses, glasses, and also let's buy Cyclone. And I'm going to save this over here. So again, saving a purchase order would not create a bill on Xero side automatically. As I mentioned earlier in my slides, purchase orders only get pushed over when you apply a partially or full payment or you partially or fully receive it. So again, I'm just going to receive this purchase order on inFlow and see how it would look on Xero side. I'm just going to select fulfill from here. And as soon as I fulfill, I am going to go to Xero. I'm going to select business and I am going to go to bills to pay. All right.
There it is.
So yeah, this is the first one. I'm going to select this. And this is how your bill would look on Xero side. Again, your SKUs basically, which come as item code on Xero, your description, your quantity, unit price, accounts, tax, and again, your subtotal and your total would show up over here. I'm again going to apply a payment to this bill and purchase order on inFlow. Let's make a full payment. And as soon as I do that, it should update the payment information on the bill on Xero as well. I'm just going to refresh this page, and voila, your payment is over here now. All right, so this is basically how your sales and purchase orders would push over to Xero. I also want to show you how your inventory would look like. How you can find your inventory value on Xero, and how you can compare it with inFlow. So remember, we added a new inventory asset account on Xero before we connected the integration. So to see that, and that account holds your inventory value. So to find that account information, I'm just on Xero side, I'm going to go to accounting, and over here, I'm going to go to your balance sheet. So I'm going to select over here, balance sheet for today, up to this. All right, so this is the inFlow current asset account that I added before connecting inFlow with Xero, and this should show me my inventory value over here. So my current inventory value should be 193,218, and it should match inFlow as well. So to see where you can find your inventory value on inFlow, I'm just gonna go back to my inFlow side, and over here, I'm gonna run a report. I'm gonna go to reports, and over here, I am gonna run my inventory value report, stock rules, inventory, sorry, a detailed report. I'm gonna select this, and I'm gonna generate this report.
So while we're waiting here, Catherine's just for the benefit of everyone. Catherine has a question as to what happens when we have non-stocked items in inFlow. How does that work in regards to the integration? I just want to
All
mention it
right,
for everyone's benefit.
yeah, so the non-stock item would get pushed over to Xero, but the cost value of those non-stock item would be tracked in your adjustment account that we created, the inFlow adjustment account. That's where the cost value of those items will be recorded.
Perfect.
I
Thank
hope
you.
I answered that question,
Yep.
Catherine.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Perfect. So yeah, going back to the inventory value, so I ran the inventory details report, and it gives me the sum of all the costs at the very bottom. It's 193,218. and it should match on Xero as well. So like I mentioned earlier, info current asset account will have your inventory value, so it matches 193218 over here. All right. So this is how you would check your inventory values on both applications. Now, whenever you create a sales order, your cost of goods sold get pushed over to Xero, and Flow would hit the cost of goods sold account on Xero as well. So I just want to show you how you can find the cost of goods sold transaction on Xero side. So I can just go back to accounting, and over here I can just run my profit and loss statement. And over here, you can select your date range. And this is where you can see the cost of goods sold account and also the info adjustment account that we created when we were setting up the integration. The cost of goods sold, if I go to this account over here, it would show me all the transactions that are coming from inFlow site. So right now, because we haven't fulfilled our sales order, I'm going to go back to the sales order that we created. It was this one. We only marked this invoice, so it hasn't hit the cost of goods sold account. It only hits the cost of goods sold account once you fulfill a sales order. So I'm just gonna fulfill the sales order over here on info site. And now this should reflect in our cost of goods sold account on Xero as well. Now if I go to Xero and if I refresh this, yep, here you go. So your cost of goods sold should show up over here. And if you further click on this, it'll show you the transactions. And if you want to find the cost of goods sold for each sales order, then on inflow side, and if you want to compare the values, you can run a different report. You can go to main menu. Over here, you can go to reports, and we can go to sales, and I believe it was sales product profit report. Sorry, I'm just gonna sales order profit report. You can just run the sales order profit report. If I run this report, and I have to add a column over here for cost of goods sold, which I haven't done already. I'll just let it generate the report first. All right, I'm just going to add a column for cost of goods sold account. I just basically selected this button, and I'm just going to add as many columns as I like. I'm going to select cost of goods sold over here, and I'm going to generate the report again. I see the cost of goods sold as a column over here now. And the order number was 12. All right, so this is the order that we're looking at. The cost of goods sold for this order is 273, and it should match Xero as well. So we see over here, the cost of goods sold in the account, it's $273. I'm just gonna go back to the account. Yeah, for this sales order, the cost of goods sold pushed is 273. So yeah, this is how you can check your inventory value and your cost of goods sold for your order as well. Now, I just want to go back to inFlow, and I also want to show you how you can manually push your inventory value, because like I mentioned, your inventory value is pushed when you fulfill a purchase order or a sales order, 2 a.m. every night your local time, and you can also do it manually. So I'm just going to go back to inFlow. At the top right, click on my name, go to integrations over here, select Xero over here. And then from here, if my purchase order inventory value is enabled, I'm just going to click on this, and I can just click on this button, push inventory value, and it would manually push my inventory value to 0 at this time. And you can see when it was pushed as well the last time. And it takes a few seconds, and it should push it back. All right. Anurag, do we have any questions so far?
Nope. Nope. Catherine just asked if you can have non-stocked items on a sales order. To which we replied, yes, you can do that.
Yes.
But that was the last question.
Okay, you can have both service and non-stock items and stocked items sales are serialized item on your sales or purchase order. That's totally fine. Okay, so we've covered how the integration works and how the orders look like on Xero, and then how to check your inventory value, how to check your cost of goods sold account. I also want to go back to inFlow and show you how to troubleshoot any integration error and how to find those errors. We did see one of the errors because I linked the wrong bank account, but I'm going to do another example and show you another example of an integration error. So I'm just going to go back to my main menu, inFlow main menu. I'm going to create a new sales order. And over here, I'm going to select optical illusions as my customer. And I'm going to add a product called test, which I created earlier. And let's say we're going to buy 5 of these, and I'm going to keep the unit price as 10. And I'm going to save this per sales order. And let's try and push it to inFlow and, to Xero and see how it looks. So when I push this order to Xero site, I see that there is a red dot next to my name over here. That means that there's an integration error. I want to go, and if I go on Xero site, I will see that this order hasn't pushed over as well. That's another sign that there's something going wrong. 13 hasn't come here, and then there's a red dot over here. And when I click on it, it shows me this exclamation mark next to the integration button. If I click on integration over here, I will see that Xero has given me integration error, and the error is basically for sales order 13, and it says please enter SKU for the following product test. So this product that I added on my sales order, I'm just gonna, sorry about this, I'm just gonna open my order over here, sales order list.
So just so you know, I'm just replying to Catherine and Hui as well. Catherine was wondering what happens when you fulfill non-stocked items on the journals in terms of journals in Xero, and I was suggesting that we, other than the adjustments account that gets updated as you mentioned, is there any other details that you can share, or otherwise we should just check Xero's documentation as well?
Yeah, I think we will have to check Xero's documentation,
Yeah.
and I will come to this question after I'm done with my troubleshooting
Yep.
section, and then we can look into this as well, right?
Yep.
So again, this sales order that I created, I added a product which did not have a SKU, and this is what my integration error says that I need to enter my SKU. So I can just quickly go back to my product list, search my product over here, test, and I can add a SKU over here. Let's say I added the SKU, save this, go back to my integrations page, so it's like my name, integrations, and I am just going to retry over here. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah. So now the order has gone to Xero as invoice. It should be there. And when you are facing any error message, I should have so there would be an option to check our knowledge base article in the integration error as well, where you can find we have like a few different types of errors which normally come up, and you can find how the solutions to fix those in our knowledge base article as well. Anurag has shared the link for that, but the integration error also has the way to go to the knowledge base article. So yeah, so this is what I had, all I had for today for this webinar. But I just want to go to the questions and see if there's anything that I can answer right now. If not, I will have to get back to you or my support team. You can always reach out to them, and they will get back to you with more details about your questions. All right, Anurag, let's go to the questions now.
Yeah, so we have okay, so it looks like you've reached out to our support team, so that's great. So it looks like there's some integration related errors.
Hmm.
In terms of, so Hui and Catherine seem to be having the same issue of transactions cannot be pushed over because the inventory name exceeds 50 characters. It looks like they're having
Okay.
this. Yeah.
Okay, so that is a limitation from Xero side. Some products, Xero has a limit of what the item, how many characters can go in an item name. So you want to make sure that your product name is basically SKU number is less. Basically, it's not greater than the number they have allowed. So I think that's 50 characters. that you mentioned, Anurag, just now? Do you want to
I'm
make
sorry.
sure you?
Yeah. Then I guess in that case, we and Catherine probably checking your SKUs to make sure that the SKUs aren't longer than 50. So the name can be longer, but not the SKU. Am I right on that side?
I believe you're right. Yes, and
Okay.
I think it's
Perfect.
there on a knowledge base article as well.
Fantastic. And you mentioned that he's reached out to our support team, so they'll get back to you as soon as possible, I'm sure. I believe they're available for chat now if you want to start a chat after the webinar, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the fastest way to get in touch with us. Uh, and Catherine, yourself as well, because I know you're having the same issue. If you want to loop back to it, Saad, I've already recommended to Catherine that she check on Xero's documentation. Uh, Use item name instead of SKU. Right. So Catherine, yeah. So you need to use the SKU field in inFlow, as Saad mentioned. So that's great. I think we think that one's good on that. And then Catherine had more
Mm-hmm.
questions on the journaling side of Xero. But other than
Okay.
that, no.
Yeah. Hmm. I believe a lot of this information about journal entries is there on a knowledge base article. But if
Yeah.
there's something that's missing, Catherine, please let us know on our go to our chat and talk to my support team, and they will be able to answer your question right away. Any specifics that you have.
Yeah. That's the last question I see so far. But and if anyone has any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat now.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give them a minute here. If anyone has any other questions. Okay. So Catherine, you said the
Hmm.
SKU is less than 20, but item is more than 50. So does that?
Then I
Yeah.
believe the item name is going to description, and maybe the description is 50 character limited to 50 characters. I'm sorry about that. Catherine, do you have a description for the product as well?
Yeah.
You don't have description. So your item name, how inFlow works with Xero is, um, your item name goes into the description box over here of your sales order in description. So if you don't have description on your product on inFlow, then your product name, inFlow's product name would go to description in Xero. Then I think description field also has a limit of 50 characters
Uh,
on Xero side.
I see. I see. Okay.
Okay, I guess like I think it would be better if Catherine, you reach out to my support team and they can look into
Yeah.
that. I'm sorry, they will have to go through your account and see the exact product.
Yeah. I think that would be best, Catherine, if you can just
Yeah,
reach out to our support team. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That way they can look into your account and we'll give you some more one-on-one help and help you
yeah,
and they'll be able to help you fix that, no problem, I'm sure.
yeah.
Or provide guidance at least, yeah, for sure.
Great.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Ray.
Great. Thank you, Queen. Uh, any last questions, guys, before we wrap up? I'll take the silences and give it a minute here, unless there's anything else. Okay, I think we're good, and I think we're good then, Saad.
Perfect. So before I end the webinar, just want to stress that before you connect info with Xero, just make sure you read our knowledge base articles, you go through it in detail, and make sure these important steps, which are also listed in our knowledge base, you make sure about these, converting your products to non-track inventory, setting up the right account type. If you don't do that, then integration inFlow would push information to Xero, and it's going to cost. If you come to us, we will be able to figure it out, but it's going to take a lot more time. So make sure it's set up correctly in the first time. So no, don't rush into it. Just read our knowledge base, understand that if you have any questions, come to our support team, and then connect both applications. And
Wonderful,
inFlow would be
Saad.
your
Thank you.
main source of. You're welcome. inFlow would always be your main source of inventory management, and Xero is only going to be for accounting reasons. All right. All right. Thank you,
All
guys.
right.
Take care of yourself. Talk
Thanks,
soon.
everyone,
Bye
for
bye.
joining. Saad, this was great. Thank you so much. I learned a lot for
Welcome.
sure. All
All right. Bye bye.
right. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.